Alright, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of greatness, so not rule well. Salutation to the Aki, I'm preaching the truth to the four corners of the earth in sincerity. Is your brother Yakal with another lesson to edify the Lord's elect. Lord's will then be edifying through the Spirit. And as the title reads, fuck your mood, follow the plan. Because as I came across this picture, I said, well, this is Yapa. Because, the Lord the Lord has no respect of persons, first and foremost. You're not dealing with the people's feelings and how you feel in the truth and your emotional, we need to follow the plan. Because you see, when people tend to lean on the mood or the feelings in the truth, they tend to do their own thing and follow their own mind, right? And by following your own mind, you're already going off. Right, so I'll start with this precept here. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 9, and it reads, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" Right? Who can know the heart and how deceitful it is? So by the time you're in your feelings, that's why you don't make judgments based on feelings. That's why the Lord deal with men. And the scriptures say that the sheep of my pasture are men. That's roughly paraphrasing, but the Lord dealing with men, because if the Lord was dealing with women and women had to raise up the elect, you understand, we will be lost forever, right? Because think about it, women are emotional creatures, right? So even men, the men that not in this truth, because as the apostles say, that when you come into this truth, that's when you really become a man. The other men that not in this truth and in the world, a majority of them, I should say, they become effeminate and they make judgment based on their feelings. A man might, and that is show you, being in this truth is a yappa thing, is a blessing, because a man might gain his feelings because his wife cheated on him. And what the scriptures say, jealousy is the rage of a man, right? A man will get jealous and then he'll delete his wife, delete his children, delete everything, and then delete himself, right? When you're in this truth, that is emotional. You get so, because your wife went and took another man. Being in this truth, you know the truth. The woman is a weaker vessel. The woman was deceived. You understand? And not the man. The woman was deceived first, right? And you get to understand that, which scripture also say, marvel not if she trespass, right? So you're aware to certain things, and you're aware of the conduct that you should keep yourself in. That's why we always try to motivate and tell brothers and exhort brothers to be men. You come in the shoot, you be a manly man. Fuck your mood, stick to the plan. Because you see, if everybody is like going on a mission, right? I want to put it in a sense as army men. I want to say soldiers. I don't want to go into that kind of war, that shooting warfare. They go into an ancient warfare, right? Where there's swordsmen, there's shieldmen, right? And there's spearmen, arrowmen, right? So this is the men on the battlefield. And the shieldmen, they also have swords, but their job is to shield off when arrows come in. The swordsmen are to advance when the shieldmen, and the spearmen is to make sure nobody comes in the circle while they're advancing, right? So now, if the shieldmen start to get emotional or start to think about their own self and follow their own heart or their own mind in this battle, they could risk letting an arrow come in and infiltrate and hit one of these swordsmen, weakening the army, weakening even the spearmen, right? And the arrowmen now that is on our army, right? If they're not shooting arrows timely, they're saying, right? Because they are timing, they're just saying you have a time to shoot arrows. If they're not shooting arrows that are timely, what's going to happen? You understand? They're going to risk the chance of our army being infiltrated and all, just roughly paraphrasing. But the whole thing about it is, We all must work as a body. We all must work as one of my beloved brothers is always say. The chain is strong as the weakest link. Because when one link bad in that chain, it causes the chain not to even work anymore. Right? And this thing where we in here is an army. When you read Ephesians 6, you understand that the Lord say we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers. So we wrestling, we fighting. There's a fight in the street, and by fighting constantly, we have to stick to the plan. You understand? Because the Lord always say, once you do this, you shall never fail. And there's a list of things I believe in the book of Timothy. Once you do this, you shall never fail. Stick to the plan. Fuck your mood. Fuck your feelings. You understand, brother? I tell you something to correct you. Fuck your feelings. Stick to the plan. Let me get back the picture again just to... Right? Fuck your mood. Follow the plan. Right? Let me get some precepts here now. Because I highlighted some precepts here. That's for the purpose of this video. Right? This is Proverbs 3 and 5. And it says, trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not on thy own understanding. Lean not on your mood and your feelings and what going on with you. Trust in the Lord. Trust in the plan. You understand? Because Esau, what the scripture say, we are not ignorant of his devices. His devices go back to his plans. You understand? And he trusts in his plan 100%, although it's going to fail. Right? We must trust in the Lord's plan. The Lord's plan is to we raise up the elect, carry them through the fires, Jacob trouble, but we must have faith. We must endure. We must endure to the end. We must stick to the plan described in the book of Mark, and have it in other precepts too, where the Lord say when they shall take you into... Let me get that precept. Right, the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 12. This is sticking to the plan. Right? It says, but before all these they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. So here what the Lord telling you, this is what they're going to do. Right? And it shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your hearts, not to meditate before what ye shall answer. So this is the plan. The plan is they're going to come and take you into the synagogue. But here what I want you to do. And you need to settle it therefore in your heart. And not to meditate on what you need to answer them. Right? Verse 15. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And in other passages, the scriptures say that I will give it to you in that very same time, what ye shall see. Right? So this is the Lord telling you, don't worry about what you had to think about. I will bring it towards you and put it in your mind what you're going to say to them when they take you into the synagogue and they turn towards you for testimony. Right? So this is sticking to the plan. And there's other precepts as well describing what the plan is. You understand? Just like when Daniel needed the interpretation of the dream. What happened? He fasted, he stick to the plan, he pray and ask the Lord to help him, whatever the case may be. The Lord gave him the interpretation. He went out, he told it to the king, but he didn't do as the king commanded. He stuck to the plan. Enduring, refused to eat certain meats, refused to eat certain things. Right? And this is going to have to be us in that time, where it's going to be cannibalism. They're going to be what do you call it, eating a sort of unclean. A lot of unclean going to be on rampant because a lot of food's going to be scarce and it's going to have a famine in the land. So what's going to take place when food is scarce and there's a famine in the land? People are going to be eating dog, rat, bat, cat. Just like it is being Beijing right as we speak. But they cool with it. But unto us, it will be breaking the Lord's laws. It will be committing sin, eating these abominable foods. So we're gonna have to stick to the plan, endure to the end. Because the Lord told us that. He said, they will be hungry, but my people shall eat. They will be thirsty, but my people shall drink. Right? So that is us sticking to the plan. Because the reason why I went into the word mood, and I don't have any internet right now, right? But if it is on the internet, I would have go into the word mood. Because the word mood going back into your feelings. Right? And these feelings, they come and they can fuffle the way that you think. They can fuffle the way that's why I read the precept before, lean not on your own understanding, and that the heart is deceiving above all things. Right? Because these things can fuffle the way you think, your mood. A man might get angry and do something crazy. A man might get sad and do something crazy. These are two moods. These are two emotions. A man might even get happy and do some shit. You understand? But if you stick to the plan and you stick to what Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is telling you to do, you don't have any of these things. Because you can be sad or you remember that the Lord said this, you remember that the Lord said that, and the scriptures comfort you. So now that the scriptures comfort you, you don't need to seek doing any bullshit to comfort you. Right? We got next precept here. As I have some precepts highlighted. Proverbs 15 and 32. It says, he that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. The fear of the Lord is instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. And this precept, so Yapa, to highlight this as well, because this is a Yapa precept that I used to bring out a lot in the earlies. Right, but I'm going to read it over and break it down. So it says, Proverbs 15 and 32 again, it says, he that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul. If you refuse the instruction of the Lord, because you see, the instruction of the Lord is the Lord instructing you on what to do, how to do it, when to do it, right? So that when you do these things now, it's following the plan, right? Forgetting your own mood, forgetting your own self. Scripture said that deny even your own self, right? So now it says, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. What is reproof? Reproof is correction. And the scripture says correction is grievous unto a fool. But if you are corrected within the spirit, right, it is when somebody tells you to do the right thing, and when you get back on the right path and you do the right thing, you take the right action, the Lord's way. You know, the Lord's way is always going to be the good and the right way, the righteous way, right? When you stray from that, that is when you realize that you're off. Because anything besides what the Lord tells you to do, and it wouldn't be the right thing, right? You would be going off. And verse 33, which I love so much, it says, the fear of the Lord is instruction of wisdom. The fear of the Lord, fearing what the Lord could do to you, fearing the Lord's name, fearing how, respecting the Lord on a high level, knowing that his eyes are 10,000 times brighter and his sun is always watching you, angels always around recording, right? The fear of the Lord is instruction of wisdom. That is what it is, right? But here this last part, and before honor is humility, because honor is going to be in the kingdom. Honor is going to be when you are exalted. You know what the scripture says, let other men praise thee. Honor is when you're being highly exalted. And the Lord is going to exalt you initially when he comes, when he returns, right? But before all that, it's being humble, humility, where you have to be humble before the Lord's instructions, humble before the Lord's men, humble before the commandments, humble before the things that the apostles passed down onto us. Passing it down onto us to be humble. That is what humility is. You understand? Us being humble. Right? I got next precept here, because I believe it have a precept talking about the commandments that I highlighted. Right, so the first chapter, and I'll start from 26. Right, it says, if thou desire wisdom, which is to be wise, and the wisdom of the Lord, it says, keep the commandments, and the Lord shall give her unto thee. Keep the commandments. If you desire wisdom so much, the Lord will give you that wisdom. The Lord will give you that understanding of the scriptures once you keep in his commandments, laws, statutes, and commandments. Right? Verse 27. For the fear of the Lord is wisdom and instruction, the plan. And faith and meekness are his delight. And this, you see the faith and the meekness. The meekness go back to the humility. Before honor, which is praise and glory in this place, is humility. That is the meekness. Because the scripture also say that the meek shall inherit the earth. So before the honor, you had to be meek. Right? But here where it says, and faith and meekness are his delight. The Lord loves to see faith. Scripture said, without faith, it is impossible to please him. So you can't please the Lord without our faith. Right? You can't please the Lord without having faith. You can't please the Lord without being humble, meek. The Lord hates a proud man. Think about it. Esau is called most proud. Why do you want to be just like Esau, full of pride? Right? So being humble, sticking to the job that you've been chosen for. I believe that is Hebrews 5:1. The man of the Lord is taken for men. Let me see if I get it so I don't have to butcher it. It's the book of Hebrews 5:1. For every high priest taken from among men is ordained for men, pertaining to in things pertaining to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So that means that you're ordained for men pertaining to things of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that he may offer both gifts and sacrifices for sins, who can have compassion on the ignorant and on them that are out of the way, for that he himself also is compassed with infirmity. You was once just like them, right? So you had to have compassion, etc., etc. But the point was the things that the Lord require from you, right? We always go back to that humble, being meek. The Lord washed his disciples' feet. By him washing his disciples' feet, he was showing humility as well too. You know? He that is greatest among you, let him become low. That the whole thing about it, that was the Lord was trying to show us. That become humble, become low. Don't think you're too high and mighty. There's only one high and mighty, Yahweh, and then Yahweh Shai. Right? Because we all working for one penny. And we all want to make it. So therefore we will stick to the instructions. We got next precept here. Proverbs 15. I read this already. But I'll go back to the last precept because I had some more to read. Sirach 1:26. I read 27. I read verse 28. It says, distrust not the fear of the Lord. Meaning, do not trust him. Trust him, right? That is what distrust means. Distrust not the fear of the Lord when thou art poor, and come not unto him with a double heart. You know that double heart? The Lord telling you, hey, I needed to walk here and go so. Take the right street around you're taking it right around the roundabout and you're going right. You take the left on the roundabout and going left. You understand? But then you're saying you love the Lord. That's being double-minded, double heart. Scripture says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Right? Verse 29, it says, be not a hypocrite in the sight of men, and take good heed what thou speakest. That is our next thing about sticking to the plan. Take heed the way you say, because they might say some bullshit, right? And that is not according to the plan. It had men say certain things, and I could attest of this. That men say certain things being in this truth. It was not of the Lord, you know. And it was a man elder than us, so he should have known that this is not the thing to say. But the Lord have put it in such a way that he's no longer in Great Millstone. He got kicked out because really and truly the spirit in him wasn't right. You know? And I'll say it just for the edification. A man once said that he was having intercourse with a woman and how to say it, he said he fucked the Ruach HaKodesh in her. And that was blasphemous. That was very off. You understand? This is why the Lord say, take good heed to what thou speakest. Be not a hypocrite in the sight of men too. Because you're in the highways and byways and you're seeing certain things and whatever. But when it comes, the camera comes off, you become a hypocrite. Right? This is not how we should be. We should be sticking to the plan no matter what. That is why it's good to read the book of Proverbs. Because certain things I read in the book of Proverbs, they tell you that it kind of straightens your back up. You know, show you where you're going off, make you straighten up on certain things, and yappa. Right? Because a proverb go back to a dark saying, and with these dark sayings, the Lord reveals certain things there. You know? That's why it's like, despise not correction, despise not reproof. Because sometimes you read a precept and the precept reproof you, and get back straight into your ways. I say it, get back straight into the way. And that way is the right path. Right? So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Didn't really mean to make it be long. It was a quick lesson. Lord willing, was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Bahashem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. Salutation to the Aki and preaching is true to the four corners of the earth in sincerity. Shalom, shalom, shalom.